My brother, my sisters, my mothers, my fathers, wherever are there, agree to now. This is a true Nigerian Oga 23 I come to now today. So, and I bring a couple of matter come when we will talk about. And one of them now, this election, presidential election petition when they go for Abuja on the 17th. Unfortunately for Labour Party, they never get enough materials when they go take judge their case. They requested for material for Inec, but they never get up to 70%. So they asked for adjournment to the 19th of May so that they go get their material and they go make a good case. Yeah, I pray, make Inec dey fair to give them the material, because they don't get the material on time means that they don't get case to answer, every matter don't close. That one, I not think say is a good day fair. It's not a fair hearing if that one happen. Secondly, now regarding these factions, when they call themselves, say that they not be national chairman and they not they recognize, they call them the Lamidi Apapa faction of the Labour Party. They storm the court, yes, they get crashed the court like say the bouncers, saying that they're not supposed to do court for Labour Party and not be anybody else. Now the Labour Party chairman Mr. Bure team, they come boo them. They call them ole. So the SMC police can't get to come escort Mr. Apapa and the cronies out of the courtroom for safety. So this case, when it go on so, I later found out after everything happened, say, if you like saying money, now they bring the matter. Because the faction, Lamidi Apapa group, called the talk say, the OB and the cronies, they get about $20 million in their cap, where we say they get hold on. So the Labour Party OB team, they eat those money. So that's why, if you like saying that, then I make that money, they bond them. And I not look like to me, say the Lamidi Apapa group, now true Labour Party members. It look like to me, say they're not they fair at all to the Labour Party. And all the allegations that they give, if they're really people where be Labour Party supporters, they're not going to make all those kind of comments. They're not going to disturb the court hearing. They're not going to threaten to withdraw Labour Party petition when it they court. So make una read and listen to waiting the video when it go follow after all this. Make una listen and analyze or what una view, what una think about the factions, the Lamidi Apapa factions, when they do, whether it they good for Labour Party or it they against Labour Party. Well, thank you so much. I want to not forget to like. I want to not forget to share them. I want to forget to comment so that I will feel improve on what they do. And not forget to subscribe to my channel. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
It's been 10 days since the Court of Appeal granted the Labour Party presidential candidate Peter Obi
this coming video now months ago, not be now. This one at the beginning of where they promise they could give them the materials, so they could give Labour Party the materials where they ask for.
Prosecute case,
listen.
challenging the election effectively, but he is yet to gain access to the Inec materials, which has led to a lot of agitation among his supporters. This is why the legal team of the Labour Party is at the headquarters of Inec to meet with the leadership of the Commission. The team was received by Inec Chairman Mahmoud Yakubu. After deliberations, the Commission promised to provide the Labour Party with all required documents.
In the letter, we were served notice that the team will be here on the 7th at 9 in the morning to inspect the materials. But most specifically, the letter requested us to get in touch with our resident electoral commissioners across the 37 states of the Federation to make the documents and information available.
Inec Chairman, however, said there are some documents at the state headquarters of the Commission and will require extra efforts to get them to the Labour Party's legal team.
A meeting has been scheduled with all the resident electoral commissioners. Is going to be a virtual meeting at 3 p.m. today, at which we'll discuss, among other issues, this matter of providing CTCs not only to the Labour Party, but to all other litigants as well. I want to assure you that the Commission will not hide any document from anybody and will make any document that they have requested.
Lead counsel to the Labour Party, Levi Uzuku, says he's hopeful that Inec will obey the orders of the court and make the documents available to his team.
We have not received any electoral document from Inec that will enable us to file petition on behalf of our clients. And as you all know, election petition is time sensitive. We have 21 days to file petition on behalf of our clients. Out of that 21 days, we probably have about 10 days to go. And up till now, we have not received any documents, less than 10 days.
What will be the next step if INEC fails to release the documents to meet up with the timing of the Labour Party legal team?
That will be a national calamity. Why do I say that? Not making the documents available will create the impression that INEC is deliberately frustrating us. That's just the impression it will create, to make sure that we cannot prosecute this petition. But listening to the chairman a short while ago and all the assurances, I want to give him, or we want to give him, the benefit of the doubt.
He has assured the team of lawyers that they are going to present those documents. So we want to wait and see the responses of our legal team. It is the legal team that will give us the matching order when they are satisfied with what they've received from INEC, so that our members nationwide and worldwide will be satisfied that we are doing our job and they are ready to prosecute this case.
With the promise of fairness and transparency by INEC to the Labour Party and other political parties, Nigerians are looking forward to an interesting...
So we're going to watch this coming video where I show how they want to take lynch Mr. Lamidi Apapa in the courtroom. Where we say police can't get to help him, drag him come up for the courtroom so that they not touch him. And they call him ole, ole, ole. I put in a read to himself. They are calling Mr. Lamidi Apapa and see his eyes, how the eyes they shine, whether they carry and come out. Make una see video, make una narrate am. Thank you.
of the court! Out of the court!
So, like I said before, if you now listen to this factional publicity secretary, wetin he say regarding his own party, Labour Party, una go understand where they come from. And tell una say, I not believe say they be Labour Party members. So they look like people they support a different party. They are not in Labour Party support. Okay, make una listen to the video when for them. Make una decision.
What really happened?
Thank you.
Go ahead, Mr. Arabambi. What happened in court today?
Okay. Well, thank you very much. We were in court today based on the fact that on April 5th, there was a judgment restraining Abure and 3 others over forgery, perjury, criminal conspiracy. And they filed a preliminary objection, which was dismissed on the 4th leg, filed by Lanesik, alias Ijeteme. Based on that, because preliminary objection are filed to abate or to kill your originating summon, and they lost that completely, though they said they want to appeal, we'll be waiting for them on Friday when the case was adjourned to hear the substantive matter. We were in court. But before we arrived at court today, I wish to place it on record before Nigerians that Peter Obi asked some people to call us for a meeting, which we were supposed to meet 6 p.m. today. At that meeting, I have their text messages on my phone. We told them the national chairman will be representing the Labour Party. They said no. Peter Obi had decided who is going to run, who is going to represent the party. We told them, no, Peter Obi does not own Labour Party. He was just a candidate, and therefore, he will not be giving us instruction in the NWC. And because their preliminary objection have been dismissed, there is no any faction in Labour Party, because this is the lawful thing to be done. So when we saw them in the court this morning, Oshutokun, was on the seat where the national chairman was supposed, to sit today, and we went to meet him. Please, young man, you need to start off from here. You are not Labour Party. Campaign has ended. So please, get the hell of this seat. And he started, raining abuses on us. Though, we pity him because of, his this bipolar disorder, which I pray to God, God will heal him up. After that, we saw some people that we have known before. And I'm going to mention them. The guy you are seeing there, his name is Ejike. The other person is Kennedy Ahanotu. He was the one that sent me a text message yesterday that if Apapa should come to that court, we will be lynched. And that they have the instruction of Mr. Peter Obi to waste anybody. And that they'll be killing people in Nimo State and nobody's going to do anything. We dare him and said we are going to come. But lo and behold, we are in that court. He came with those criminals. With Peter Obi, all of them came in together. They pretended they didn't see us in the court. And when appearances were asked to be done, he stood up and introduced himself as Mr. Peter Obi. And one other woman, who had been suspended by the neck of our party, claimed to be national women leader. And the Alhaji Apapa also stood up in the court. And the judge, in their opinion, said, okay, if they are crisis the party, we will not take both sides. Definitely only PO will be going ahead with the petition, which we are going to challenge, because we are going to ask our lawyer to come on Friday to come and take over, the Labour Party, because we can't be in a legislative tribunal. Only the candidate, will be the one arguing matter out. He contested under a political party platform. But I want to expose something to Nigerians. You see, we've been keeping this thing under the carpet. Today, adjournment was at the
that
instance
your
of
party's
Labour Party.
candidate, if you can hear me, Mr. Rabambi, that your party's candidate, Peter Obi, was in court at the time that Mr. Apapa was attacked?
I can't hear you well.
Well, you did mention, you alleged that the decision to attack Mr. Apapa was from the party's presidential candidate. I was asking if Mr. Peter Obi was in court at the time that Mr. Apapa was attacked.
Of course. Immediately, see, this is the trick they use for us. Mr. Peter Obi, as far as I'm concerned, has not been in politics when some of us started. When they came in, Mr. Peter Obi came into that court with Kennedy, Anotu, AGK. These are talk that we know in the party. And I maintain that on my phone here, which our people share to the security agency, we were threatening not to attend court today on the instruction that Mr. P.O. said, if we attend, he didn't believe in us, we will be attacked. I have the message from Kennedy Anotu. He came with those 2 tons into the premises of the court. We were there before them, and immediately they finished. We were behind them. They finished addressing the press, and Abu gave them the signal that they can go ahead. They now went outside and stood outside when that people now began to throw bottled water, to throw a sachet water, at us. And the press tried to even curtail them. They were just being rowdy. They said they are going to mob us, they are going to kill us, and we dared them. We told them that this is Nigeria. This is not about Imo and Anambra. Nobody in Anambra should think they are superior to anybody in Labour Party or in Nigeria. Like, I was trying to say something before about the postponement. Today,
I want you to quickly
was at the instance of Labour Party.
Okay.
Now, let me tell you what happened in the court. And for us to tell you that Mr. Peter Obi has been using Labour Party to trade, and that has been the bane of the crisis that we have in Labour Party today. I will expose him tonight. Now, they ask for adjournment. Do you know why they ask for adjournment? There is a pre-session hearing going on, and they know that it takes only 14 days. How can Labour Party hired over 10 SAN? They were unable to get their document right from the court. From Inec. And if Inec are unable to present you the document, they were not supposed to be coming to court with, to ask the court through oral application for the court to compel Inec to give them those documents. They called a meeting on Friday. They were there. They didn't attend. They said the lead counsel, Dr. Levy, said he went for the function. They called them on Monday. They were there. They stormed out of the meeting for receiving bad note to them. Tuesday was yesterday. They came to court today, even to come and move oral application.
Mr. Arabambi, allow me to butt in very quickly so we can, put this in proper perspective. If you can hear me, there are also certain allegations that have been brought against you and Mr. Apapa that you have been given an amount of money to the tune of 500 million naira to scuttle Peter Obi's case in court, and that the purpose of your presence in court today was to withdraw Peter Obi's petition. You sound like you are not even in support of your party's candidate. What is the purpose of the Apapa camp, as regards this case at the tribunal?
Now, our business in court today was because I need to explain to you. It is all about 2027. They are not in that court to win any matter. I've just told you that the pre-hearing session will terminate on Saturday. If they do not get their together, that petition will be dismissed. So what the hell are they doing in the tribunal? For how many weeks that Peter B. lawyer will come to court and tell the general that he could not afford 1.5 million? This was the trick they used for us. That they collected so much money between Peter B. and Abure. We have over $20 million between them that they used. Obi just came to cash out in our political party. I am telling you that truth. He did not pay agent we had Dr. Kyosutoku today. He said they didn't have money to pay again. But I can assure you that they start that money in a bank in Nigeria for them to share. So what is happening today is that Obi didn't want to use Labour Party to run election. He was in Afghan. Do not forget, he ran away because of crisis. He was in PDP. He ran away because of crisis. He's in Labour Party. He knew what he wanted to use Labour Party for. He's a trader, just like he said. He came to use our party to build up his business with Abure, and he found a useful tool in Abure.
You're raising some very serious allegations that we cannot independently confirm on this platform, and it's important to say to our viewers that these positions are raw, Mr. Arabambi, do not represent the position of TVC News. That's how much time can permit us. Abayomi Arabambi is the Factional National Publicity Secretary of the Labour Party. Thank you for joining us on the news tonight.
Another matter where they go on again now the one where BBC come up say the numbers where they receive on the day of election for Rivers State not correlate with the one where Inec publish. And so when they correlate the one from the Rivers State on that day of election, the number where they receive shows say the one when Inec published was doctored. They inflated the one for the president-elect by thousands and reduced Labour Party, that's Obi, by what it is, making the president-elect the winning party. Okay? So that's what they found out, that there was some anomalies in the results when Inec correlate the Rivers State. They couldn't watch the video, they couldn't listen.
Tally was reduced. So what should we make of this BBC investigation? Well, for more on this, I'm joined now in the studio by Arise political editor and director of news, Sumner Samba. Good to see you, Sumner.
Thank you so much, Charles.
So tell us more about what the BBC has uncovered. They seem to have found evidence that the presidential election results in Rivers State may have been manipulated.
Yeah, and I would say there's nothing new about that. We saw domestic observers like Yaga Africa pointing out to this. And then there was also a publication by Premium Times which adduced to some of the things that the BBC says it has found out. And it's nothing really new. Well, these issues are before the Presidential Election Petitions Tribunal. Nonetheless, we've always known that since 1999, when we return to democracy, elections in Rivers State have always been controversial. And my God, in 2007, the results that came out from that state, I mean, were the talk of town.
Breakfast.
Yeah, I mean, everywhere, the same thing until 2011 when we started, you know, cleaning up the system, and then gradually, I mean, results not only from Rivers, but from other parts of the country. But I can tell you that the discoveries by the BBC, especially in Obiakpo local government area, it's not so distant from what a lot of people have said. And if you know that during the election period, Professor Edias, who was the state chief coalition officer for the presidential election, which is called SCOPE, the state coalition officer for the presidential election, had raised the issue and saying that, look, there was even a threat to his own life because of the allegations that he had manipulated the election. But he said no. The allegations of this tampering of election results actually happened at the polling units and then local government units allegedly, and that a lot of people are accusing him falsely that they should go down and actually find out what happened. And some of these political parties actually could not fully understand the mathematics that took place in Rivers State, because I mean, for the APC to come first at the presidential election in Rivers State speaks a lot of volumes, because we know that the candidate was not so much popular in that part of the country. So, I mean, it's elicited a lot of mixed reactions. That state has always been a PDP state. And then the Labour Party was also gaining popularity among some followers there. But when you come to the campaign grounds, you'll see that the Labour Party actually lost grounds
in terms of the turnout of people that came for the campaigns. And of course, you know, there were state-sanctioned things here and there, despite that Governor Nyesom Wike had offered some support to Peter Obi when he went to campaign there. He couldn't fill stadium, the Liberation Stadium, which is now known as Yakubu Gowon Stadium there. But in all, there's still a lot to be unraveled, and I can tell you that it's left for the judiciary to come straight.
Sure.
But of course, those who have petitioned will also have to prove. And so the onus is on those who have gone to court to prove indeed that those votes were tampered with, and then of course it's left for the courts to actually accept.
Sure, but in terms of looking at the methodology that was used by the BBC to arrive at this conclusion that they've arrived at, basically after tallying all the results from the sheets that were available and comparing those to the officially declared results by Inec, they found a very large discrepancy, and that Bola Tinubu's votes had gone up by more than 100,000, whereas those of Peter Obi had fallen by over 50,000, which appeared to show quite a big discrepancy.
Yes, indeed. Those challenges were there because of, you know, there's what is called the parallel voter tabulation by some NGOs and all of that, election monitoring organizations. Now, in the PVT, you will discover that there were lots of NGOs who had, you know, observers at several polling units. And then, of course, you also had the political parties having their party agents and all of that. But, Charles, do you know why the elections in Rivers will always be controversial? Because of the terrain. There are some areas geographically within Rivers State that electoral officials don't go to. Not because they don't want to go to, but because of the terrain. And in 2003, 2007, there were instances where INEC officials were brought into the middle of the sea and told to either want to disappear if they go forward, or they should just go back to Port Harcourt City in safety. And of course, some of them had to take the option of going back to Port Harcourt City. And when the results came out, I mean, you needed to see all the results coming out from those localities. There are some places that even policemen can't go to. I mean, this happens in several societies, those dark zones where elections are not held, and then you see results being brought out. But the good thing about this is that we had this voting machine, beavers, and of course, if you follow what happened at the Supreme Court with the Oshun case, and the Adeli case emergence as, you know, having got his verdict fully now, there will be a lot to prove at the Presidential Election Petitions Tribunal. That's why I'm being careful not to get into certain discussions, because these issues are in court. And when the Premium Times report came out, for example, and these issues had to be placed before the electoral body, INEC, they simply said that they can't comment on it because it's before the tribunal. But looking at some of the ways the BBC report went, I will say that they did a great job, just like Yaga Africa, just like Premium Time, because I mean they placed the results side by side with the parallel voter tabulation, and alongside what some of the party agents had brought back, and then from the realities on ground there, and you could see that, look, when they call some of the polling INEC officials to want to cross-check some of those documents with them, the election results, some of them were not willing to actually say they authored those results. And if you go to the INEC website, as I'm speaking with you, Charles, you'll see where some things are written in biros and all of that.
Things that, cancelled out.
Cancelled out. Some, you just see the collation officer writing that, look, there was problem in this. So no figures attached. No collation paper, so I mean it's a challenge.
But based on that, Sumner, because you have a lot of experience in these matters, you followed the elections and so on in this country. What accounts for this discrepancy? Was it incompetence? Was it sloppiness? Or something more insidious in your assessment?
Well, it has to do with the human mind, actually. A lot of people don't want a situation where the system works, where people come out to vote and then their votes count. That's why we've heard the slogan, one man, one vote, for a long period of time. The challenges of logistics, too, actually create this sort of atmosphere in a situation whereby for Rivers State, and I'll go back to that, because of the terrain, you have to use boats on waterways. You would have to get to some areas, apart from the bigger boats, you have to go with smaller boats and all of that. And you go to some areas by daytime, it's already looking like midnight because it's a rainforest zone and all of that. And
yeah, but the point is that they're talking about the results that were given.
Yes.
You see what I mean? So basically they're saying, we looked at this and we looked at that, and it didn't match.
Yeah.
So what do you think was behind that?
Yeah, I mean, in one way or the other, there could have been some tampering, and that's why it's left for the court to actually decide.
Yeah.
If people tampered with it, the evidence would be before everyone, because the Supreme Court has said that the only device that you can use to know whether an election was tampered with or not is the beavers, because the beavers machine accredited people.
Sure.
So if you said there was overvoting, the beavers would have to show that there was overvoting, because it will tell you the number of people who voted and those who are left out.
Right.
And for these results that were tampered with, if you go to the IREV website by Inec, you will discover that some of these things that were supposed to have been posted were not posted on time. And when it gets to the Presidential Election Petitions Tribunal, people will have to prove beyond reasonable doubt, because it's a board of jokes. Look at what Governor Badaru said during the President-elect Bola Ahmed Tinubu's visit to Port Harcourt, where Wike hosted. He said Wike was so much good at mathematics that, I mean, we who have been tabulating election results for a long period of time would have to come and learn from him.
I like
that sent a lot of signal and shivers, saying that, look, it looked like something actually happened that needs to be explained to everyone.
That's a very interesting
But it will be left for the courts, because you need to provide evidence. And the governing party actually went campaigning everywhere in every part of the country. And considering the drama that happened in the main opposition PDP, we already knew that Rivers' result was going to be affected in one way or the other. But for the PDP to lose to the APC there, and for the Labour Party to lose to the APC there,
it raises questions.
Yeah, it raises a whole lot of questions.
So let me ask you this, because you made the very important point of the fact that this is in the court. So let's kind of park that. But as you know, Western governments place a lot of premium on the investigations of their upper crust media organizations and tend to act on those investigations. Could this affect the legitimacy of Bola Tinubu's presidency in the eyes of Western governments such as the UK?
Yeah, Charles, you and I know that, I mean, having worked with foreign media everywhere, these foreign governments actually do a debrief of some of their journalists when they come to third world countries to actually cover elections and all of that. It's unfortunate that we, as a developing country, we don't do that, but these guys actually do that. And these are some of the things that are coming out now to show you the momentum that the Western world is trying to place ahead of the inauguration. This is not just coming out there. It's a grand design to actually say, look, we do not fully understand what has happened during the last election. Our media outlets are doing some investigation. We are also staying back a bit from embracing fully the president-elect. But is this going to stop the president-elect from assuming power? No. Is this going to also affect his international relations? Yes, there's a tendency, because he's trying to look for legitimacy in the eyes of the international community. And you would have seen that if the president-elect is out of the country now with less than 2 weeks to the inauguration, there should have been these heightened expectations, you know, him being in Paris or London or wherever he is. But, you know, there have been this orchestrated work by the president-elect too, as he goes around the world preparing to come take over power. And so the mood is that of, you know, a cat and mouse game between the international community and the president-elect. But I can tell you, with China, Russia, the BRICS countries also trying to look for new partners and all of that, the Western world also being careful. That's why you could see America taking its time to congratulate Bola Ahmed Tinubu. The French had to eventually do that, and then of course the British. They are also being careful, because if they don't do that and the Russians and the Chinese come and Bola Ahmed Tinubu embraces them on time, it will actually spoil the meal for them too.
That's a good
So
point.
it's a very difficult
There's
and
a
delicate
geopolitical
situation.
dance
Yeah, the
going on.
geopolitics of it globally is one that if Tinubu is smart enough, he'll be able to embrace, because if the West I'm so interested in all these election matters, he will quickly run to the other guys who are not so much interested in election and human rights issues, but in terms of growing the economy, infrastructure and all of that. So let's be careful not to allow the West to actually drive the narrative of the Nigerian elections. But that doesn't mean that the right questions should not be asked and the judiciary shouldn't do its job.
Samna, thank you very much indeed. Samna Sambo is Arise political editor and director.